I'd like to do something that many people seem to be quite uniquely good at today, and that is speak on behalf of God. It seems rather fascinating to me how every person who professes belief in God seems to have a set of ideas and thoughts they strongly feel are in tune with what God would most likely like or favor. During my open days as a Christian Jehovah's Witness, I too seem to have had a firm grasp of God's generic perspective on things, informed perhaps by a constant reading of the Bible and its central narrative. I know I rather phrased it quite cheaply when I said speak on behalf of God. I mean, that's not a particularly weird idea. We can all speak on behalf of a close friend, parent, sister, or brother because we share a relationship that gives us a window into what they feel, say, or the sentiments they would generally hold on various particular issues. That's what I mean by speaking on behalf of God. Although the irony in my case is there isn't really a relationship to be spoken of in any endearing sense. Kindly excuse me for imploring religious overtones here, but here's how this came to me, right? Sleep tends to evade me at 4 in the morning, and today was one of those moments. As per usual, I switched on to my YouTube and started glossing through what my sweet algorithm felt like throwing at me today. Then I stumbled across a conversation on Justin Briley's channel titled Is There a Rebirth of Belief in God? I listened to this almost 2-hour conversation intently, and at about 40 minutes in, I started zoning out. I started zoning out in this sense. I suddenly started thinking about what kind of person Justin is. He seems like a very likable guy. Alex too seems like a pretty cool guy with a personality that doesn't quite fit in well with what many people in my country would want to call an atheist. Then I started thinking about the rigid and less nuanced Christian perspective of God as this black and white, all-powerful being hell-bent on punitive justice. Both these guys don't look and fit the stereotype of bad persons, and Alex doesn't seem quite like the sort that should be subjected to an endless life of torment in hell for his confidently held atheism. Something just didn't feel right, and here's where my speaking for God kicks in. If there's really a God out there who created everything from quarks to the visible universe, I just can't seem to bring myself to believe he can be as simplified a mind as anybody who disagrees with fundamental religious precepts and ideas is best suited for the flames of hell. I just don't think it's that simple. And I know I'm stating the obvious here, but on a much larger and more assertive point, I think everyone at best is doing PR work for God, if at all he exists. Philosophically speaking, if we are to conceive God as an omniscient and omnibenevolent being, it follows that his understanding of human nature would be far more profound than ours. An all-knowing God would be intimately aware of the complexities and nuances of every individual's beliefs, doubts, and experiences. Such a God, in my light, would recognize the difference between willful defiance and genuine intelligent disbelief. To assert that God would condemn a person to eternal torment merely for the honest, thoughtful conclusion that they cannot believe undermines the notion of divine intelligence and justice. A truly intelligent and just God would understand the sincerity of an individual's intellectual journey, the integrity with which they seek truth, and the earnestness of their questions and doubts. He would appreciate that disbelief, in many cases, stems not from a place of rebellion, but from a rigorous engagement with the world, a deep desire to understand, and an honest pursuit of truth. Therefore, it seems to stand to reason that an omniscient God would be able to distinguish between a person who is genuinely unconvinced and one who rejects belief out of malice or indifference. Such discernment would be beyond our limited human capabilities, but would certainly be within the grasp of a divine intelligence. In this light, the simplistic view that all unbelievers are destined for hell becomes not only implausible, but also inconsistent with the very attributes we ascribe to a wise and just deity. So ultimately, if God exists, he must be far more intelligent and understanding than we can fathom, capable of seeing into the depth of our hearts and minds, and judging us with a fairness and compassion that transcends our limited human perspectives. That's what I meant when I said I too wanted to take a bite at speaking for God.